So, I just made a video talking about the progressively larger mistakes Bungie made in Destiny history. Mistakes that would redefine the franchise and perception of the studio among fans. I was being a little bit of a Sour Patch Kid, so now that I've been sour, it's time to become sweet. Bungie had built such a strong reputation among fans of Destiny that we all stick around even through the hardest struggles of the game. What events in particular could shape everyone's perception of the series in a positive light? My channel might as well be formed around them. Things like Niobe Labs, Outbreak Prime and Perfected, and more have left such a sweet reminder of studio greatness that we need to talk about them. As a reminder, if I missed any that stood out to you, please just shoot me a comment. There has been so many huge moments over the 9-year journey that putting them in order to progressively get them to be better started to become a bit more stressful than anticipated, so expect some bias here and there. Just know that if your favorite shows up earlier, it's an amazing moment, and it's here. And I'm just one stupid voice talking about the niche events that made me happy once upon a time. Anyways, we begin our journey. We're in self-love mode this month for a rainbow of reasons, and I'm really loving my other me. Evan Explains, the only channel where you can learn about the manly man Ganondorf, and soon about the beastly manly man Malekith. For the low price of free, you can join the many that have already been learning about the stories of Elden Ring, Zelda, soon to be the zombies community stories. And by the way, I've heard all the feedback. The series is coming along. It's just going to take some time, and I want to plan it out when it's actually closer to zombie season. Just be patient. I'm looking forward to it too. Armored Core audience choice videos? Look right here. I'll read a random fact about Elden Ring for a starter. Hop on down. Did you know that this guy, Vike, is the man on the cover of the game? But did you know why he's on the cover? Well, you can subscribe to the channel and find out. Melania? Rar XD? Radon? Oh, are you gonna cry because you got nerfed, Radon? We can all wear our I was there when he wasn't nerfed t-shirts. Go subscribe and I might even send you a kissy letter in the mail. Also use code Evan on Gamersubs. It supports the channel and you get some amazing waifu shakers and caffeine or caffeine-free good stuff. Yeah, Gamersubs is a meme, but it's a very healthy meme. Now, enjoy the video. The first place we must visit was one that didn't last for a very long time, yet is one of the most notorious events in the game's history. The Loot Cave was discovered right around the time Destiny released, and was the best place to get engrams for Master Rahul. The game was built around pure RNG and mystery, so seeing someone out in the wild with a new piece of loot was unbelievably exciting, just as it was seeing the exotic drop yourself.
Yeah, you do. Oh, does it? Damn it, I got the Hawkman! I got the Hawkman! I got it from a rare! I just got it from a rare! Damn.
This event wasn't intentional, nor was it really an event, just a farm for players, hence why it's here and not further in. But when Bungie eventually put the cuffs on this one, they did leave it with a nice nod to Master Rahul.
A million deaths are not enough for Master Rahul.
From community-created events all the way to other studios' planned mysteries, we have the Vicarious Visions Warmind mystery for the Valkyrie Javelin, from this odd symbol found within Rasputin that looked to be a ghost cipher. Puzzle 2 had to do with a decode cipher involving Sun Tzu's Art of War. The third puzzle was an Otendorf cipher that would take 2 additional years to figure out after the reward was found. The fourth was a datapad matching a quest, and the fifth was in music notations from Tchaikovsky. Music that Rasputin plays was the hint. The final code was a combination of other ciphers from the Rasputin log datapad sequence, and users removed letters to let this one come to life. The answers from the other keys were the hints to solve the final puzzle. I know it's confusing, but the keys were the answer. Art of War, destroy all second A and B, then destroy all third C and R, Enlightenment, Swan Lake. These help decipher the final key, which reads the message, "Thank you for taking the time to piece together this message, friend. The time of our final conflict is drawing closer, and you and Anna have an important role to play in the events to come. so watch over her, Guardian. I would have no life without Anna or the EXO program. I regret that we have become strangers, but we have a path that we must walk, and ironically, there never seems to be enough time. Tell her, Rasputin's first attempt was in the right location, but the wrong moment. Look here. And then coordinates. Then this video came out.
Journey is finally concluded with success. Luckily enough, another Guardian was here, ready with it. He managed to get, Sam, our new Guardian friend, managed to get himself a full-scale javelin, a Valkyrie. Beautiful. All of us, we're also managing to get some awesome 3 of coins. There's quite a collection here. Some notes, let's see. Congratulations on discovering our hidden riddle. We at Vicarious Visions worked hard to hide the secret for you. Perhaps you solved it on your own, perhaps you worked together, or perhaps you just happened to live really close by and saw the location online. You found it, regardless of how you found it. Within this box, you will find some very exclusive coins as well as a journal. For those who are actually present, the coins are all numbered. Please take one, write your number in the journal along with the date. Some thoughts from us, or from you to us developers, and to other adventurers who will come after you. Thanks again for your passion for this game. We hope you had as much fun finding it as we did making it. We will stop by from time to time to check on this cache. Maybe we'll even see you there. Thanks again. Rob, design lead on Destiny DLC, Warmind.
Yeah, this one was pretty amazing, and would let players know that no matter where you were, there was going to be something to look deeper into. Thanks, Vicarious Visions.
You're welcome, Evan.
This is where we talk about our first Bungie planned activity, and it was one for the ages. Prison of Elders was the needed health activity added to Destiny in the House of Wolves, and served the purpose of adding an activity that could not only break the normal strike format, but could also be a place where you could grind plenty of other stuff too. You had good difficulty scaling, good boss variety, Skolos was a nightmare of a challenge, and I mean that as a compliment, and the rewards were a golden room filled with all the strange coins, most of light, exotics, and exclusive weapons you could want. There was even a rare bounty that could drop, which would net you the Dreg's Promise, Queenbreaker's Bow, or the Lord of Wolves. Bungie even updated Prison of Elders down the road, adding more bosses and loot in the Taken King's Challenge of the Elders. The prison would go on to inspire another fantastic activity that would add over 50 pieces of legendary loot itself. The Menagerie was Destiny 2 at its best. Released in the summer of Season of Opulence, and on the same day as the raid, Menagerie was the Prison of Elders of Destiny 2. Sure, it didn't have the side chest to go with the main chest of loot, but it did have a glitch that wouldn't be patched for months, allowing players to run in and out of the area to keep collecting the loot they always wanted, so long as the timer would allow it. Exploring the Zoo of the Leviathan, fighting every type of boss in new areas with many raid-light mechanics, all with a time incentives, so the better you worked as a team, the less rooms you had to do. It felt great. A lot of the fun of Menagerie came from solving which combinations of symbols created which weapon from the chest. Eventually the recipes would come out, but messing with it and figuring it out for the guaranteed masterwork on the god rolls was so good that Bungie was afraid of ever doing it again. Jokes aside, but I seriously do think that this activity was almost too good, and it set a precedent that no other activity could ever follow. Keep in mind, there was a hard mode where bosses would shred you faster than you could blink for slightly better rewards, and the Izanagi's Burden Catalyst. Rest in the Sunset World, Menagerie. You deserve to be remembered only as amazing. Honorable mention, since again this isn't an event, but it was a part of one, is movement tech in the game. Worldline skating would come after Titan skating in Destiny 1 and was such a change to movement in the game that having Worldline became almost necessary for players. Bungie would patch it, but the good news was that the 30th anniversary would introduce the most insane movement tech we have to this day. Shatter and well skating might as well be the most fun thing to learn, and it's thanks to Eager Edge, a reference to Halo 2, that we even have shatter skating. Thanks, Bungie. Mystery seems to be a part of all of the events that stand out in Destiny, and it should be no surprise that the 15th wish would find its place here. After Last Wish Day 1, hell, even before the raid, there was mysterious plates with symbols on them to be found on Nessus, Titan, and even a Gambit map. When Last Wish, the probable 15th wish itself, came out, more were found, and a datamine triumph said that there was a 15th wish, leading fans to fully assault this mystery. To this day, people talk about this one in high regard, as it's said to end the curse in the Dreaming City, and has spawned all sorts of weird rabbit holes and fan theories. This one might as well join the Half-Life 3 levels of Copium, but the 15th wish, it's probably still out there. The hunt for 14 wishes scattered around the universe of the game was created by Bungie for fun gimmicks to be put in the wish wall, but the 15th, that was all fans, without almost any signs from Bungie. They clearly want the mystery to linger and have teased it quite a few times with themes around symbols and areas in the Dreaming City, looking at you, Season of the Lost, but we'll just have to wait and inhale some Copium. Copium can best describe all of our chances of getting an original Vex Mythoclast.
5, 4, 3. Yay, we got it.
Please give me Vex.
Finally.
I swear to God, you better give me goddamn Vex, dude.
Yes!
Vex! Vex! Yes! Yes!
Nope. There you go, you're happy.
Yes!
For some of us, this thing never dropped. For others, it dropped when the raid first came out. We're here to talk about the entirety of Bungie's original raid that by today's standards may be pretty dated, but the rewards in the game were completely built around the Vault of Glass. The Vault of Glass was the raid that basically saved the game. At least for more hardcore players, it provided a weekly place to try your hand at Destiny's best loot. Every piece of the best weapons and armor were here, and if you didn't get a reward, you at least had materials drop that were used to upgrade the eventual armor and weapons from your other tries. Hard mode would release what the remaining loot normal mode didn't have, and set the precedent that raids in first person were a huge deal. I will be forever grateful for the Vault of Glass, as it's what made me fall in love with Destiny. Vault of Glass may have aged in some ways by today's standards, but PvP never really had an endgame. Enter the Trials of Osiris, released alongside the Prison of Elders back in the House of Wolves DLC. This activity is still around kicking to this day, and despite all the frustrations due to power creep and many other factors, in its original state, Trials had a definitive way to play. You were either a Last Word or Thorn user, with your occasional Hawkmoon player, or you were on the other end of one. Trials of Osiris was so unbelievably big when it came out that Twitch would be taken over by Trials, and YouTube was too. Don't be mistaken, this wasn't just a content creator space. It was just competitive PvP with fantastic rewards. You needed 9 wins without dropping a game. Rewards as you scaled, you got cosmetics and normal versions of the weapons dropped from the post-game screen, and the bounties were rewarding too. Everyone wanted one final trip to the golden chest that was on a new location. You know what? That was magical. The only exotic emblem that was ever made was from this chest. The mystery around Osiris and the skeleton that was underneath here for some reason, so everybody thought this was Osiris. As discussed previously, the new location in Mercury, which only captivated the mystery of what was out there because they put these borders on the walls, so every time you try to go somewhere, you wanted to go to Mercury, but you just couldn't, but you were only there and you could only be there in the weekends, and it was like your own little patrol space. Ah, it's so cool. And adept weapons that had arc, solar, and void burns on the primary you were using with an extra roll were just all a part of everything players have begged Bungie to do again in Destiny 2. So, what made the original Trials of Osiris a special event and deserving of this far into the video? Just about everything. An event centered around Osiris's mystery is up next, as Corridors of Time got just about everything right. I say just about because I know that only a small group really got to be involved, but that was due to the way it was set up. And I'm biased since I was involved and I loved every minute of it. Never did I think I would be doing a 9-to-5 desk job while playing Destiny, but the community needed some people to punch some numbers into a spreadsheet, and god damn it, I put on my slacks and tie for a reason. Seriously though, the Corridors was one giant puzzle maze that involved a crazy amount of teamwork from the community, and every code counted. The other problem was that Bastion was the reward. When we saw that our own dead guardian was in a tomb with a sword that looked a lot like Dark Drinker, an exotic from Destiny 1 that would just sweep the game. Bastion was shown on the season pass, so Corridors of Time was basically a time machine to bring us closer to releasing it, and the community was both happy and sad. I put this here because for me, it made the game so much more memorable, and for the studio, it was an incredibly impressive activity that nobody said a word about. And those are the things that I love Destiny for. Honorable mention, since it's not an event, but still awesome, goes to Strand itself. Strand is by far the most fun subclass I have ever experienced. Grapple hooks, full creativity with almost no limitations to what the mind can find with it. Strand is just pure love at its finest. This video was recorded before fishing came into Destiny, so disregard the part that nothing was cool in Lightfall except for Strand. Throw that one in the... yeah, throw it right there. Love is the best way we can describe Bungie's biggest event to leave every player with rose-tinted glasses, and for good reason. Age of Triumph released soon after the fantastic Dawning event, so we can talk about both here. The Dawning returned with Sparrow Racing League, a fun variant holiday event for prizes, and the returning Icebreaker from these gigantic presents in the tower. This added strike scoring and was a celebration of Destiny, but Bungie wrapped the endgame content in one giant ribbon with Age of Triumph. This was a celebration of the game and came back with the exotic variants of every primary weapon with legendaries too. This also returned with armor ornaments that are still the most iconic in Destiny history, a record book for all the challenges, reworks and updates to some of the raid encounters. Looking at you, Crota. Age of Triumph cannot be praised enough since it set such a high bar of standard and left Destiny 1 as a damn near perfect experience. Here's to hoping Destiny 2 can emulate this for its final year. Speaking of love, let's talk about Destiny's first secret mission that would shake the community to the core. Black Spindle was an exotic version of the Sunset Black Hammer, a sniper with a unique perk that would refund all ammo from every 3-tap on a boss. The Spindle was from a heroic secret path on a mission. If you ran to the side of the daily heroic mission on the moon and into the Tannic Strike area, a Taken variant popped up with a 10-minute timer to beat the boss. This not only dropped the Spindle, but a shader and a ship for a rare chance. It was simple, but it was incredibly inspirational for where secrets would go in the future for Destiny. Speaking of that, let's talk about the better of the two missions. The Whisper was yet another secret discovered later into the Warmind DLC. The Whisper was hidden in a Taken public event on Io. All you had to do was kill a Taken enemy far away from the public event, and a portal spawned in. Once you took the portal, a 20-minute timer began and memories were made. The Whisper was a completely new area with unique platforming and very difficult rooms to clear, especially in the two primary meta. But when you completed it, the reward was, well, it was insane. I mean, come on, we're here. Heavy Sniper, Whisper the Worm. While the Spindle was good, if not great for a lot of bosses, the Whisper was for every boss in the game. This would also release with a hard mode for the eventual Catalyst, boosting the damage of the Sniper by 40%. And a puzzle for a ship that is, well, it's still iconic. Whisper was everything players wanted and then some, and deserves to be preserved in some way in the future for Destiny. From secret missions to secret game-changing activities, we have the Shattered Throne. This was Destiny's first dungeon, and it was not advertised until players found it. In an already triumphant Forsaken, Bungie would secretly place a portal, this time bigger than the Whisper one, in the Dreaming City. Through the portals of the city and in the connecting network of Techian hubs, whatever you want to call this place, was one giant portal only to be found on the third week in the cycle of the Dreaming City's evolving world. This was called Curse Week, and the Shattered Throne was the single hardest piece of content in the game at the time. Power level 580 was almost necessary when players were 540, but this is where the exotic Wish Ender was found, where the final items needed for Cursebreaker were too, and it was only around 1 out of 3 weeks. This would be a test to see if players like dungeons, and seeing as we get 2 a year now, yeah, things are looking pretty good in that department. Shattered is still one of the best activities in the game, and it all started out as a secret. While Shattered was incredibly impressive as a secret post-raid day, how about an exotic mystery deep inside of a raid? This puzzle was started before Rise of Iron even released, with the Owl Sector Siva nanites covering players' heads and generating codes to plug into an ARG, but Bungie put one of the most iconic exotics in the raid tied to this ARG. The Outbreak Prime Quest was started by the ARG for a map that let players plug in the binary code sequence of the server room in Wrath of the Machine. After a free exotic engram from doing this puzzle, players got an item from unlocking the laser trap after defeating Axis. This was when you needed to be in math class, as the Outbreak puzzle calculator dropped, and players had to become big brain to even get the next steps. After it was done, the first, and I think only Siva exotic, was given: the Outbreak Prime. From the prime of the game to downright perfection, we have 0 Hour. This was on a random Thursday update for the game, and ever since this, players have always been looking around it every time a random hotfix comes in. On this day, there was a heroic weekly adventure that had a fallen transponder on it. Following a bunch of ARG-bound mysteries with ciphers and numbers led players to discover these were making a text picture of the farm. The farm, in the basement, Mithrax, a friendly fallen captain, sent you on a mission back to the old tower. This was, it was amazing. I mean, it's here, it's amazing. There's missions filled with puzzles, there's tough enemies, there's Trevor. Wait, hold on. Trevor! The menacing robot, and a tight timer for the Outbreak perfected this time. But instead of just adding the hard mode version with tougher enemies, the hard mode this time around had a completely new path with even tougher obstacles and a floor trap that changed depending on the burn of the mission modifier for the week. You had key cards, you had weird puzzles with chambers that I don't think anyone ever figured out. We just kind of bashed our heads against it and then it just worked. And clear story beats that were introduced with Aramis, Mithrax, pyramid ships in the tower room. It was everything that made Destiny special and then some. To make things better, the Outbreak perfected, just like the Whisper of the Worm, would dominate everything it was in. That was the only downside of Outbreak Prime. It just wasn't the best in slot weapon. But perfected absolutely was, with the catalyst nanites to do more damage and the intrinsic stacking of nanites with teammates. It was even used to clear the world's first of the next raid boss. Before Outbreak Perfected had its moment, the first ever gigantic puzzle in the game for in-game rewards was showcased to the world, with an incredible build-up that cannot be stressed enough, involving French, Japanese, and Nordic puzzles to solve for emblems in the forges, all the way to weapon scanning symbols in the room. Came the event that would go on to split the room on how players felt about the finale. We have none other than Niobe Labs. Anyone could attempt, everyone would die over and over again. There was that clock ticking. That sound of advancing. The 7 layers of the puzzle that were all infinitely crazier as they were frustrating. 3 players involved in every team. Enemies had to die quick after each puzzle, so you had to stay on your toes, and thousands watched on to see what Niobe Labs was holding behind that door. The big controversy was that Bungie unlocked the door early, saying that players who paid for the content should get what they wanted. But now that I've given it more thought, I think they wanted players to eventually bust in, but we're kind of like sweating bullets. My theory is that there was some internal timer on the event to unlock at a certain time that they just couldn't change in time, so it just unlocked. I think by all means this event should have waited for players to beat it, since players did beat it soon after, but it was still an amazing event for the franchise. The rewards were the forge behind the door, Burgugia, where any weapon could be crafted from the season, so it didn't need to be go to the other forges for these types of weapons. No, it was all in Burgugia. The exotics could be farmed here too at random, like Jotun and Monarch. Izanagi quest could be finished. Mysterious Datapad mission could be finished. Other massive improvements like the added effects on the weapons and more. This was worth all the wait, but the puzzle was the most unique event I have ever seen in a first-person game, and it was executed to damn near perfection. Only one day was perfection, however, as Last Wishes Day 1 takes home the craziest event in Destiny history. Very few teams were able to participate since leveling was so incredibly tough, but the whole 24 hours was madness. From unlocking the final super after defeating Callie, to the first progressive boss fight moving through an arena, and of course, the hardest puzzle Destiny would ever make before Niobe Labs, in the vault, yeah, that was magical. Now past the vault, there was one final boss that is still the best raid boss in Destiny history, in my opinion. It was so incredibly hard, it kept teams there for 10 plus hours. On top of this, there was an epilogue in Queen's Walk. Every player who was a part of the world's first team got the raid exotic, the first 24-hour emblem drop. This was also when the first raid belt was introduced, and the curse in the Dreaming City was broken. This was the event that got me to start this channel. So by all means, it is the best event Destiny has ever created. Well, we were sour, we were sweet. It makes me both equally happy as it does get me sad that most of these moments were from times of the past with Destiny. I think the most recent truly special moment was the Corridors of Time and Eager Edge skating on the list. I think Bungie still does make great moments, like the raids, dungeons, and some of the other activities. But the game is in more of a factory system of getting something out rather than making something incredibly special, and leaves little room for new innovations the way I think players would like. It is the yearly cycle of the game, and we are 9 years in, so there's not really a lot of new ideas they can try. But I'm rooting for a great finale. Anyways, everyone, thanks for watching, and until next time.